There may come a day when you look back and realize that the moments you were trying so hard to escape were not as empty as they seemed. The life you kept postponing was already happening. The days you called ordinary were quietly becoming memories. Most people spend years waiting for something: a better job, more money, more confidence, more certainty. They tell themselves that life will finally begin when everything falls into place. But somehow that day never arrives. The strange thing is that life rarely announces itself. It doesn't knock on the door and tell you that these are the years you will miss one day. It simply passes by while you are busy looking somewhere else. You tell yourself that this apartment is temporary. This job is temporary. This struggle is temporary. You keep your eyes fixed on the future, believing that happiness is waiting for you somewhere ahead. But while you are planning your future, your present quietly disappears. One day you wake up and realize that the people you used to see every day are no longer there. Friends move away, parents grow older, familiar faces slowly become memories. The things you assumed would always be part of your life begin to fade. The hardest part is that you rarely notice it while it's happening. Nobody tells you that this will be the last summer that feels like this. Nobody tells you that this conversation, this walk, this ordinary afternoon will one day mean more than you can imagine. Many people spend their entire lives chasing a version of happiness that doesn't exist. They keep moving the finish line. Every achievement creates another target. Every destination becomes another starting point. Nothing ever feels enough. The problem is not ambition. There is nothing wrong with wanting more from life. The problem begins when your mind becomes incapable of appreciating what is already here. You become trapped in a permanent state of waiting. Waiting is dangerous because it feels productive. It feels responsible. It feels like preparation. But sometimes, waiting is simply another way of avoiding the life that is already in front of you. Think about how many moments you barely noticed. A quiet dinner, a short conversation, a familiar routine. At the time, they seemed unremarkable. Yet years later, those are often the moments that return to your memory with surprising clarity. Memory has a strange way of revealing value. Things that once felt ordinary become precious. Things that seemed insignificant become unforgettable. Only distance teaches us what truly mattered. Perhaps that is why regret hurts so much. Not because we failed to achieve something extraordinary, but because we failed to recognize the beauty of what we already had while it was still within reach. Many people imagine regret as a list of mistakes, but often regret is much quieter. It is the realization that you were so focused on what was missing that you overlooked what was present. You were searching for a better chapter while standing inside a chapter that would one day become important. You were longing for a different life while your actual life was unfolding right in front of you. This doesn't mean you should stop growing. It doesn't mean you should stop dreaming. Growth is important. Goals matter. But there is a difference between pursuing something meaningful and constantly rejecting the present moment. The present moment is where your life actually exists. Not next year. Not when you finally succeed. Not when everything becomes easier. Right now. This imperfect day. This unfinished chapter. There is a quiet tragedy in always believing that happiness belongs to a future version of yourself. Because no matter how far you travel, your mind keeps inventing another destination. Some people spend decades running toward an imagined life, only to discover that they never learned how to appreciate the one they were living. They arrive at their destination carrying the same emptiness they had at the beginning. The truth is that contentment is not found at the end of the journey. It must exist somewhere along the way. Otherwise, no achievement will ever be enough to satisfy you. Maybe the life you have today is not perfect. Maybe there are things you wish were different. Maybe there are dreams you still hope to reach. That is normal. Every human being carries unfinished desires. But while you continue moving forward, do not forget to look around occasionally. Do not forget to notice the people beside you. Do not forget to appreciate the simple things that quietly support your life every day. One day, many years from now, you may look back at this exact period of your life, and you may realize that some of the things you took for granted were actually gifts. Some of the moments you ignored were actually treasures. You may discover that happiness was never hiding in some distant future. It was scattered throughout ordinary days. It was present in small moments. It was woven into experiences that seemed too simple to matter. And perhaps the most important realization of all is this: life was never asking you to have everything. It was only asking you to notice what was already there. Because one day, when enough time has passed, you may finally understand something that feels almost impossible to see right now. It was enough.